This week, we're going to dive into an awesome foundation called the Tulsa Metro Women on Fire. Now, what they do through many different methods, such as selling the calendar, their shirts, and just generating donations, all of their donations go towards the Hydrants of Hope Foundation. And Hydrants of Hope is an organization with the purpose to help children and their families that are impacted by cancer. You can check them out at hydrantsofhope.com, and you can check out the Tulsa Metro Women on Fire on their Facebook page as well. Enjoy the show. The Project Tribute Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to aiding our nation's first responders. Our vision and mission is to enhance the life-saving capabilities of our first responders through raising awareness and funding for the life-saving work that they do. Our goal with the podcast is to be an educational avenue and a method for our heroes to express themselves. In the podcast, we will discuss various tough subjects. Some of the subjects may be uncomfortable or controversial. Our guests have the right to share their thoughts and ideas, and for our listeners to hear the unedited words of our guests. The Foundation's role is to showcase a diverse array of thoughts and opinions within the first responder community. If you hear something that you do not agree with, please consider reaching out to us at projecttributefoundation@gmail.com and join our podcast. If you're a first responder and you would like to share your story, we truly would love to hear from you and learn from your experiences. Please enjoy this week's show, and as always, like, comment, and share to help us grow. You can find more information at www.projecttribute.com. Thanks and have a great one.
Alrighty, guys. So John Beckloff with the Project Tribute Foundation. I have a group of phenomenal women that their day jobs is they work in the fire departments of their kind of area, and I think it's going to be the Tulsa Metro. They also have a wonderful foundation and a organization that they support. So I'm going to let them tell about themselves and kind of about what they do in their day job, as well as some of the volunteer work that they do. So let's start with Miss Alexa. Can you kind of talk about yourself, what you do, and go from there?
I am a mom. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and I have a husband who's also a police officer. And then I am a firefighter for Tulsa. And yeah, I like to do art on the side. So
okay, Miss Jamie.
So my name's Jamie. I also work for Tulsa Fire Department. I've worked there for a little over 6.5 years now. Met my husband there. Actually, we both work at the same station. We work at different shifts. He's actually worked today. I'll be at work tomorrow, and then we'll have our one day off every 3 days together. I've got 3 kids. I have a 17 and a 15-year-old from a previous marriage, and then my husband and I have a 2-year-old together.
That's playing the music in the background.
That's playing the music in the background. Sorry. I mean, that's about it. Our schedules are pretty crazy with 3 kids, and I don't have a lot of time for extra activities. So that's about my world revolves around is going to work and chasing kids. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Miss Alexa, how many years have you been with Tulsa
I got
Fire?
5. Me and Kendall actually came out in the same academy.
Okay, fantastic. And then Miss Kendall.
Yeah, same thing, work for Tulsa Fire. Alexa and I have been on 5 years. She and I actually co-founded the Tulsa Metro Women on Fire back in the summer of 2018. So that's the all-female fire calendar. So we both run that. I also have a couple kids, my 9-year-old, and then I have a senior in high school that graduates this year. And work out, and I coached at a gym for a long time and finally took a break from that. So it's kind of the thick of it.
And so work-wise, at least in the first responder realm, all 3 of you, Tulsa Fire is kind of where you've been, and that's the only kind of job, or have you worked elsewhere?
I had 6 years of law enforcement prior to fire.
You look like a cop.
Thanks. And then I worked for a local EMS service for 6 years prior to the fire department. I worked for IMSA full-time before coming here. So I have a larger background in EMS before coming to the fire department.
Okay.
I was a teacher and a coach beforehand.
Okay. So, Kendall, that's kind of an interesting one that you've got kind of the both experiences of the
I'm going to go turn the music down. Sorry.
Sure, sure. So you've got both the law enforcement and the fire. When I talked with the chief over in Hominy, as well as the Cleveland one, both of them were talking about the importance of the EMT background. On your police side, did you get a lot of medical training?
No, I didn't do any medical training. So I supervised people that came out of prison. I had a sex offender caseload for 5 years. So I mean, we had our normal CPR training that, most state employees have or government employees have, but that's really about it.
Okay.
We didn't have much other. I got my EMT right whenever I applied for Tulsa. So fire.
Gotcha. And then, so Jamie, same thing. So one of the chiefs was really saying that if you're wanting to get into fire, going and getting that EMT certification was a solid first step. Is that, I mean, you kind of feel the same way, or do you feel like your IMSA helped you in the transition?
IMSA definitely helped in the transition. I actually got my paramedic after I got on the fire department. And I definitely would not have survived paramedic school without having that EMT and that EMS background to help support it. But it is a huge first step. It's definitely something that's needed. I think it's experience needed prior, me personally. It definitely helped me out coming into the fire department because there's so much to learn, so much knowledge to absorb. And that is one less thing I had to worry about learning and having to get in the groove of when I got on. So it was just a box I already had checked, and it made a huge difference, I think, my first year.
And Tulsa requires an EMT. So it's one of the departments that does require you to have an EMT before you can get hired.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And that's what it's kind of come up around because, Bartlesville, we're right next to you guys. And so far I've been interviewing folks around you. And so it's been interesting that their firefighters or volunteers go to Tulsa or the equipment comes from Tulsa to them. I mean, it really is. Tulsa's big enough where it's supporting all the communities around. So that's been pretty, I didn't realize that. I've never served. I'm just a civilian that's done food service. And so it's been fun to learn really how integrated all the services are. And then Alexa, same thing. I mean, do you feel like your teaching experience kind of helped you in this, or was it just completely new life?
It definitely helped deal with children. And I also had I worked in a nursing home as well. So as another part-time job. And so dealing with elderly to pediatrics, it kind of helped as a game changer for sure. So
do you all feel like being mothers helps you in the workplace of that communication skills, or is it,
oh yeah.
That's what it seems like to me that you all have way better capabilities of multitasking and communication and all that stuff. But what do you think?
Hire women on the fire department so we can be the mothers.
You said it. Multitasking.
Yeah, that's funny. So one of the questions I ask every first responder, and we'll kind of do it the same, kind of a round robin on this, but as a civilian, anytime I see somebody in uniform, I always want to go up and say thank you, buy their lunch, just somehow show my appreciation, more so now than ever. How is there a time that stood out to you that somebody's told you thank you, or if not, how do you prefer somebody to tell you thank you or show their appreciation for you guys? And Miss Alexa, if you'll kick us off.
Well, it's kind of just going out. Every time we're driving a truck, you see people at the stoplight, honk their horn, wave. We're at the grocery store getting groceries. You have people come up to you and shake your hand. And those are kind of just an everyday. I feel like my most memorable thank you was we have a lady, a young lady who lives in our first stand area of my station, and she comes about once a month. And depending on whatever shift, if we're lucky, she'll come on our shift. But she prepares homemade cookies and bonbons, and she's in culinary school, and so she'll make all these different kind of unique cakes and little treats, and she'll bring them to us, and she'll talk to us. She'll sit there at the table and talk to us, and that's always really fun to have people come to the actual station rather than just kind of out and about. So.
Right. Now, is Tulsa stations, are they open right now, or are they closed to the public?
They're currently open, but it's probably about to change. All the COVID protocols are all starting to kick back up a little bit, so I imagine they're going to start to close down again here soon.
So if somebody wanted to bring baked goods to their department, but it's closed,
just knock on the front door.
Just knock on the door. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Always accepting treats.
Let's cookies and cinnamon rolls have been a common thank you theme for the firefighters. So
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Okay, that's a new one.
I mean, it's, to me, when people come up to us out in public and they tell us, thank you for your service, thank you for what you guys do, it's to me, it feels kind of weird, like, because we don't do it for the thank you. We don't do it for, hey, the attaboys and the cools and the good jobs and all that. That's not why I do it. And so to me, it does feel kind of weird when people come up and tell us thank you, but it's definitely appreciated. It is nice, to see that people do see that we're out there trying to do good and they are appreciative of it. I don't know that I have any thank yous that are super memorable that reach out to me. There's been a couple awkward moments where patients or family members from past calls have recognized me, like, out in public, and I didn't remember them right away, and then did after the fact, and was like, oh yeah, you're welcome, thank you. And so, but just like Alexa said, when people do come by the station and they want to thank us, I mean, more times than not, they're hitting the wrong shift that they're trying to say thank you to, but we do try to pass that gratitude along and, let them know that person stopped by. So it is cool, and that people do take the time out to come to the station personally to tell us thank you for something that one of us did. It's pretty cool.
Sure. And then Miss Kendall.
I think one of the coolest things is being a female in this job. It's a lot different than law enforcement. I was in law enforcement and there were almost an equal number of males, and it was never really looked at strangely. But on the fire department, you have a girl driving a fire truck and you pull up Teresa's, and I mean, it's
turn.
More women than men are just like, holy shit, and they'll bring their little girls up. And, when we do the MDA, the boot stuff, and we're on the corner collecting money, there'll be, moms or dads that bring their little daughters up to us and like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's exciting to have a girl for her to see do this. So I think that's cool, is just seeing the little girls that come up and are like super excited, because it was never anything that was shown to me as a kid. So like, it's cool to receive that thank you. I think, like, they're almost thanking us for being a chick on the fire department, but
right. No, that's,
it's pretty cool.
True, though. Growing up, Legos were kind of a big deal to me. And I remember just, months back that Legos started shifting because somebody's kind of pointed out why are all the action, sets of Legos for guys and then all the dress up for girls. And so Legos started putting out firefighter, kits for girls to play with. And so you're right. It's a pretty neat culture that we're starting to shift that way and saying anybody can do whatever job they're capable to do. And that's another reason I wanted to get in front of you all, is because you're right. There's not a whole bunch of women firefighters out there. You see a lot of paramedics. You do see a lot of officers, but firefighter is it's a different realm to see. So you guys are I don't know. I feel honored just to be in front of you all and get to pick your brains. So.
Well, and I think the funniest part too is, like, women are so much more offensive towards at least in my opinion, like, they let you work for the fire department. What do you do on the truck? And I'm like, I'm literally driving this truck and you're asking me if they let me work. I'm like, wow. And I know
so
it's
do you
culture.
Oh, sorry, Kendall, go ahead. No,
you're good. It's just a culture issue, and people aren't educated as much, or they don't see it. So I think it is shocking, but you're just like mind blown when that happens, and the guys just laugh. But mine kind of stand back and they just kind of stare and they're like, oh no, what's she gonna say?
Because more often than not, I think I've gotten it's usually so do you get to do all the stuff the guys get to do?
Yep.
You get to go on calls with the guys. So do you stay back and cook for them and clean the station?
No.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, if they want to eat, they don't let me cook. So it's no. But
I never would have thought that would have been a question.
And it's mostly the older generation that ask those questions. So like more so I get that from elderly. But it's kind of like Kendall said, it's just not enough education, and it's new. Still new, unfortunately. And even though it's not new, it's still new to a lot of people to see it out there. So.
I mean, that you're right, though. I see it in the working world of women are really unkind to other women. The cooking thing, I would have never. it makes sense that older generation would say that. I just never would have assumed that's truly a belief. But wow, that's terrible and horrible.
We get it when we'll come in for a lift assist. Kendall, you're on the engine now, but Jamie and I are on the ladder, and we get a lot of falls, and they need help getting picked up. And if they're a little bit more heavier than normal, we get there, and female's usually the first in the door, because if it's a female, it's nicer to have somebody there on scene to be there, especially if they're falling down in the bathroom or in the shower. And the first thing most guys are like, oh, you're gonna need more help. First thing before the guys walk in, it's like, buddy.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
Can you lift this up? I was like, yeah, let's find out. Let's see.
Well, and that's anytime I've come across a female first responder, I don't know, I'm a little terrified, because you guys have earned your space more so, I think, and you deal with more obstacles than you should. And so it's like, man, I want to tiptoe towards you to say thank you, because I get that you guys get mistreated so often, or at least I feel like you would, from people in general, of, wow, you drive the truck, versus, so I just want to walk up and say thank you. And it can be intimidating. So that's, wow. So
but there
the other
are opposites, though. Like, there's a lady at one of our Tulsa Housing Authority that she's got some obvious problems, but she has a karaoke machine and she sits out front. So anytime I'm driving, it is like I'm walking into a game show, and the guys crack up because she's like, oh, sexy fire lady. And it's like echoing throughout the thing.
That's cool.
Yeah. Some of it can be pretty funny.
Yeah. So same question, but just on the other perspective, is there anything you don't want to be asked? And so we'll do the same kind of Alexa and Jamie and then Kendall. So is there anything off the table, or that you would prefer people not ask you?
Listening to the other women and kind of their responses, I feel like, for the most part, I can't speak for you two, but I feel personally that we're just an open book. We come home, we talk about it. Even to our kids, we're like, just guess what I went on. We don't try to go too in detail, but it's easier for me to come home and talk to my husband, being in a PD, because he goes on the same stuff, sometimes maybe the same call. We can kind of, offload that way. But as far as like being asked, being in a group full of kids doing show and tells, I'm sure they ask all those questions. They're in that setting, maybe not so much, but any individual coming up and ask, or just wherever, I think, if they want to know, we'll let them know.
And do you give them hey, what's your worst call? You give them exactly what it was?
I hate that question.
I hate that question.
Right. And that's kind of, when I talked with the police officers, the women were unanimous of, I want to talk about it. I'll tell you.
People don't want to hear.
Right.
No.
So Alexa, are you open book?
In a really bad call, I'm just usually like, well, you usually really don't want to know. Just say you don't really want to know. But everything else is kind of just, I haven't, with 5 years, I haven't had too many bad, terrible calls. My bad calls would be pediatrics, anything with a kid. I've had a couple of them. Yeah, they're pretty in depth, but I haven't had a ton of time on to see all the ins and outs of the terrible ones. So
sure. Okay, so Miss Jamie.
That's kind of like Alexa said. We are kind of open books. I think being females in first response, it's not necessarily you have to be, but it kind of comes with the territory, because I feel like we do get a lot more questions than the average first responder might. I don't know if they're looking for a different perspective, or they think we've got a golden perspective. I'm not sure. We will tell you almost anything you want to know, but personally, don't ask what's the worst thing I've ever seen. Because one, I have a small Rolodex of things that I would wish for no one to ever see.
Yep.
And some of that stuff has been pushed deep down. I think everybody's got probably, that's been doing this for a while. I've total in EMS, I've got about 11 years experience. There's some stuff I don't want to tell you about what I saw, because if I do tell you, you're not going to look at me the same way. And I just changed the rest of your life, honestly. Because we will see things on a daily basis that the average person will go their entire life without even hearing about, let alone seeing. So yeah, that's, don't ask us that, please. There are some people who they may not care. They'll tell you, yeah, here's what I saw. That's how they deal with it and how they process it. But me personally, I don't want to tell you the worst things I've seen. It's not pretty.
And that's so far all of the men that I've talked with. That's exactly what they've said. And Justin dived a little bit deeper that I never it hit me a little bit harder when he talked about all the senses that come back as if he ever got pushed to having to retell the story, he relives the story. And that's what I don't think people understand. When you're asking that question, it's a moment ingrained in time in you all's lives that we're asking you to relive. I don't want you to have to relive that at all. And so I don't think people understand that may feel like a top level question, but that is not a top level question. That's a big deal question that unless you're trying to get into the field, leave it alone. So, okay.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Kendall, same thing.
Definitely on the same lines as Jamie. And like Alexa was saying, it's kind of nice because her husband's a cop. Jamie's husband's a firefighter. My boyfriend's a firefighter, and we live together, and he works for Tulsa. So it is nice to have that at home where we can have normal conversations. And Alan and I, we work calls together. So if it's anything major, we probably are going to be on it together. So, just to be able to have that communication at home is nice. But yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, nobody actually wants to hear bad days. And, we deal with it the way we deal with it. And we joke inappropriately and morbidly often, with each other at the station or whatever. But
that's our way of dealing.
Yeah. But people don't want to, they don't want to smell what we've smelled, and they don't want to hear what, because it's, if they wanted to do that, they would have gotten into this.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, I think the thing.
Hi, Olivia.
Hi, girls.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other day I posted of the FDNY, that massive apartment or duplex fire that they had, and somebody came on there and I had it deleted almost immediately, but it was, I don't understand why they're heroes. It's just them doing their jobs. And all I could think was the 19 people stuck in the stairwell, somebody has to get them out of the stairwell. Somebody has to go in there. And that's you guys, your job doesn't end when you clock out. It is a lifestyle. Your whole family is part of this. And all three of you are showing that your whole family is part of this one way or the other. And so the one thing that it pissed me off, frankly. So that's why I made a response of, if you watch the full video that I posted, a firefighter got injured, they pull him out of the way and they continued working.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in a small town. I couldn't figure out the information on it. But that's what you all do. You all are there to protect life, and if life is saved, then property to save lives. But your job doesn't end. If you're driving to work and you see something, you're going to pull over and help. I mean, I see that all the time, and so that's where I don't know. It hit me wrong, and I made a response to it, which one of my board members will probably gripe at me, but I don't. I was professional about it, so it's cool.
Well, I think one of the cool things fire gets to do, which I feel like makes us extremely humane. If we run on a call, like we ran on a DOA the other day, and the best friend and the boss found this guy, and he's 45, and had just they'd been trying to reach him for a day. They had worked together 20 years, and they were both there, and we ended up staying for probably 2 hours, not because we had to, but we had to wait on medical examiner, and, TPD had one officer there, and they were both just completely heartbroken. And we stood out there and just one of them was from Canada. We were talking about ice fishing and, snowboarding, and, they were telling us about him and some of the places he had traveled to. He was an engineer. And, so I think that's probably more profound than a lot of the other stuff that we do. Like just being able to be human to somebody else that, we could have easily just upped and left, and they would have been out there by themselves and struggling. But instead, we were at least able to take a little bit of that pain temporarily away and just be human with them, which is nice, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that one of the things you all touched about that I've asked the other first responders is how do you decompress? And it sounds like each of you all, because you've got a significant other in the field, you're able to just have a pretty blunt, man, I'm struggling with this. Is that fair to say that you guys, when on a tough day, you come home and just talk? I mean,
Yeah,
Is that-
Tulsa offers a program. It's like services for all first responders in Tulsa, and we can always reach out to them if we need to get in depth with, a professional. And they have different things that they go through to kind of help us deal with it, whether it take 1 or 5 months or however long to get through a specific call or something they're going through in their life. And so that's kind of an avenue that we can go if we need to, but we kind of have it. We're really lucky we have that option at home as well.
Yeah, Tulsa's been, as I've kind of dived in. So the foundation's focused on smaller departments. Bartlesville will probably be the biggest, maybe Owasso, but anything smaller than that. And so it is interesting. Like, I've met the Tulsa Police Department Foundation, their executive director. I've talked with him once. But yeah, Tulsa has some great resources for their first responders, and for the most part is really, really promoting, especially on the fire side of it. We actually put a brick at the Tulsa Fire Museum. So I've got a replica of it, but I got to go to that commemoration of the fountain. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the other question, we've kind of talked on the dark side. Let's talk on the light side. Why do you love the job? Why do you show up for work every day? Because it's not an easy job. So Alexa, same thing.
Well, I got into it because I wanted to give back to the community and be a part of something bigger, and I'm a giver, definitely not a receiver. Me is giving. My receiving is to give, to be a part of something bigger. And so what better way to do it locally, than your own community. And so, every time we go to work, it happens every day. We're there for all kinds of people. So that's kind of the reason I got into it. Plus, fire was a great avenue, and I fell in love with it with all the training we had. And I just felt like it was kind of a calling.
Sure. Miss Jamie?
Like you said, get to, when we go to work every day. I actually had a friend say one time, we're probably some of the luckiest people in the world because we don't have to go to work every third day. We get to go to work every third day. It's exciting to go to work because we spend a third of our life there. It is a whole other family. I mean, we have, you come home, you got your wives and your husbands and your kids and all that. But then when you go to that station every 3 days, it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole separate family. You spend 24 hours with these people. So I've got, 8 big and little brothers that I get to go hang out with every 3 days. And it's really, really cool. I'm like Alexa. My receiving is probably helping people. I like to just help people in general. It's very cliche to say, it's like, I got on the job because I want to help people. No, it's different than that. It comes from a different level. I mean, I love the fire side of it, but I think a lot of my heart is really in the EMS side, and I love running calls and seeing patients. Like, I'm the weird person, like, I will hug family members. We had a lady call. She found her father deceased on his front porch. She went to go check on him, hadn't talked to him all day, and found him. He took a nap on his front porch and didn't wake up. And she's in the bedroom pacing around trying to find, information to give me. And she was just kind of going back and forth lost. And I just put my arms out like this, and she just kind of fell on my shoulder and just kind of started crying a little bit. And she just needed a hug. I mean, it's aspects of that are why I like going to work every day, or every 3 days. I get to go every day. But that's one of the things I love about the job is the level that we get to reach with people that are total strangers. These are more than likely people that we're never, ever going to see again. But the 20, 30, 1 hour, 2 hours that we didn't get to interact with them, they made a change in us. We made a change in them, hopefully for the better. That's probably one of the things I love most about it.
Wow. Awesome. And then Miss Kendall.
I grew up an athlete, so I've always been part of a team, sports and law enforcement, it's kind of the same thing as far as like everybody kind of working together. I went to CLEAT and all that kind of stuff. But, when I had the bug put in my ear about the fire department, because I had never considered it at all. It just wasn't, I don't have family in it. It was just never anything brought to my attention. I love the camaraderie part of it, kind of like they were saying. And I'm at a really big station. So I'm downtown and we've got, fully staffed. There's 10 or 11 of us there. it's a chief station, so we've always got people, stopping by, and other trucks are there, and we've got trainings, and I like that busy aspect of it. And yes, we do a lot of the same stuff, but I feel like no shift is ever the same. Like there's something, I hate the monotonous, like I could not handle going to work and sitting behind a desk or a computer every single day. No. So I like that, there's something different that we get to do every day. We learn something new every day. I mean, we play ping pong at the station, and we play dominoes, and we cook together, and, we work out, we do all, so we get to do, a lot of family friend type stuff. So I don't know, like I really enjoy that. And I have always been in a service. I mean, I coached at a gym. I ran a CrossFit gym, was in law enforcement. I've done this, like we run our nonprofit. So all of our hearts are in that service realm. I mean, right. You either are or you're not, in my opinion. Yeah. And that's kind of where your focus always is. So the camaraderie part of it's awesome. And I get along a lot better with guys than women. So everybody's like, oh my gosh, don't you wish there was another female at your station? No, I don't.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Tulsa's a very interesting, if you're, not from Oklahoma and you don't know much about Tulsa, it's got high rises downtown. And then you've got, just a couple miles away, you've got lots of little towns. It's from high rises to the airport to hospitals. Tulsa's just a very unique place where firefighters you guys are having to learn all of the skill sets from swift water rescue to skyscrapers. It really is the full gambit. What about grass fires? Is grass fire something you guys have to deal with? Yeah.
Some of the stations do a lot more.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're literally answering all of their different calls. I watched the video last night of the aircraft that crashed right before the train hit it. Like that it dawned on me like that could happen in Tulsa, because it was just crazy watching the highway or one of the law enforcement of it was in California where a little Cessna crashed on a street, and then it landed on the railroad tracks, and the train came through. It's like, what is this, Mission Impossible? It was just, I could not imagine. All right, so I see it now in my list of questions. What are you most proud of professionally? This is the toughest question I think that I've asked everybody so far. So do you have anything you all are proud of? And your nonprofit should be probably on there.
Yeah. I think Alexa and I can both agree that, we had only been on a year and a half when we, the guys have always had their guy calendar and sold it, for whatever their charity, the fire museum and stuff. And, her and I were brand new on the job. And as a female, you kind of are expected to hide in the shadows and keep your mouth shut and stay out of the light. Her and I did the opposite and created an all-female calendar. And we had some backlash and some negativity, and you guys won't make any money. You won't be successful. Nobody will want to buy it. Well, now we're 4 years in and $60,000 to charity later. We have calendars in probably 25 different countries. It's pretty awesome. And that for sure. And it is not an easy task. Alexa and I, every year, we're like, why are we doing we're passing it on.
Well, so you guys sent me, I've got 3 years.
Hey.
So, but yeah, I was impressed. I didn't know what to expect. I don't buy calendars. But it's professional quality. And the one thing that I thought was really interesting was, just inside, you had your sponsors on the actual calendar date as well. So just trying to schedule you three was not hard, but it takes time, and we're not doing photos or any of that stuff. So it gave me perspective of, holy hell, I can't imagine what you all dealt with just to get everybody, 4 months or 4 years in a row to show up.
It's like herding cats.
Yeah. I believe
they're way more aggravating than men sometimes.
Just to do a podcast last week, I had to reschedule 3 different times. So, my first year board was all first responders, and we went from, we're going to have to meet live every time to, damn it, here's an email. Can you just respond to the email, please? And so I get it. Like, I can't imagine how you all pulled that off. And you said
COVID made everything extremely complicated the last 2 years because our events were canceled and we couldn't, be in person. So kind of our strict rules on a lot of the girls that were in it, we kind of had to push aside because, shit happens and we all work different shifts. Thankfully, we have 3 or so girls that are consistently in the calendar that actually do what the hell they say they're going to do and help us a ton, because otherwise we probably would have handed it over.
Sure. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it was interesting on the back photo of the group how you transitioned from 2020 to then being in masks. And it was interesting because that your first one came out and then COVID hit, during that time frame, and
it was kind of a joke at the time. Now looking back, it's like, oh, why did we do that? Because we're just so annoying now. But yeah, we've come a long ways. Next year, 2023 will be our 5th year, and so we're kind of trying to plan something a little special, I guess. But I think our biggest struggle is just getting events and getting girls to be there, and just the events are probably our biggest moneymaker, obviously, rather than just online sales. We love our bikers, our motorcycle guys. They come to most of our events. Yes, ladies too, obviously. Yeah. We just got some patches that they've been heavily asking for over the couple of years, and they hopefully will get to put them on their leather jacket soon. That'll be really cool to see. So yeah, Law Tigers is our main sponsor.
They've been awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Miss Jamie, I think so. You all also sent me a shirt. And Miss Jamie, are you wearing one of the shirts?
I am. Yes.
So you're wearing a T-shirt, and then what you all sent me is a long sleeve. What's it called? Is it called a hoodie? What's the name of this?
Sure. Long sleeve hoodie.
Okay. Long sleeve hoodie, but really, really soft. And so then see if I can get it in the camera. Ooh, there we go. So Hydrants for Hope is on the name of the shirt, not Women of Fire. So tell me why.
That's where 100% of our proceeds go.
Yeah. And we have different designs. Over the last couple of years, we've sold out of other ones, and I'm working on a new T-shirt design that's kind of going to incorporate a pinup Tulsa firefighter or just female firefighter with the Hydrant of Hope logo. So that's kind of my next thing.
I vote pinup.
Yes.
I vote pinup.
Yeah.
Hydrants of Hope too was started by a Tulsa fireman back in 2012. He passed away from his own cancer in 2019. So his wife and daughter have kind of taken on his legacy. And when we started this charity, we knew we would have to, we'd have to choose somewhere for our funds to go. And they donate everything to families battling pediatric cancer. So it's pretty, it's awesome what they do. And they have donated a ton. Just in the last year, we've had a huge bicycle event where we donated about $500 per kid for about 40 kids. We gave gift cards to family members, did custom bikes, computer systems, gaming.
Like Make-A-Wish.
Yeah, it's pretty much like Make-A-Wish. We had a really big Christmas event out at the Tulsa Air and Space Museum. And we worked side by side with Selena and Kenzie Meyer. Her husband, Mark, is the one that created it. So it's been awesome just, to see that collaboration between two groups create such a, big positivity for so many families.
Absolutely. So your group is your group is Women on Fire, and then all proceeds go to Hydrants of Hope.
Yes.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. And then Hydrants of Hope is a 501c3, right?
Yes.
And then is Women on Fire or?
Yes.
Okay. So if I wanted to go buy the shirt, where would I go?
We have a link on our Facebook page. It's probably going to be the easiest. I am not real technical savvy. So the last 4 years of creating all of this has probably been the biggest pain in the ass out of everything.
Yep.
So if you're watching and you're a techie, contact us and we'll get in touch.
Please help them.
I'm trying to run my own foundation here. Let's not do that.
So we have a Shopify account that's attached to our Facebook page. So we've got our calendars on there. We've got T-shirts, and I just ship everything from here. So,
well, that's what I showed Jamie earlier, but I feel your pain.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my God. I what your garage looks like.
So my boyfriend and I just bought a house in November, and we have a 3-car garage. And I texted Alexa, and I'm like, I have to buy a garage rack. I can't take the unorganization anymore. So one of our entire walls is a rack, and I just have buckets of shit everywhere.
Yep.
It's like a daily complaint of, I have too much shit in my garage. Shopify's not fucking working. This link won't work. This deleted. I can't do this anymore.
Yep. Yeah. No, I've got my day job and then trying to run the foundation, and this is a vacation day for me for my day job, and so no, I get it. I'm in the same pains, but year one, so I feel your pain. I did learn of a new program that way I can launch multiple, like an Etsy shop and all that manages all the inventory on one. So I'm learning, but same thing. I had to learn how to use a Cricut the other day, and
Well, send us the link to your all-in-one stop shop thing, because
yeah, we'll do. I think that's where it was exciting to kind of learn about you all, because the nonprofit world, to me, if everyone's helping each other, I think that makes it where we all just become stronger together. On my end, since I'm not a first responder, it's also getting in front of folks that say, no, this group is real. The funds really do go where they say they are, and this person really has no, I don't know. I've come across way too many frauds at this point. And it sucks. And it's I don't know. It's a hard world to try to get into if you're not a first responder. And so I recognize the value of just proving myself. And I made the mistake of, we've sent out gear to departments not near me and said, hey, all I asked for is a photo back. And then you get like this really creepy selfie, and it's like, man, I sent you 40 tourniquets. That's all I get.
Gosh.
So it's just the learning pains of trying to grow something and make it bigger so kudos to you all. And Miss Jamie, so those two were proud of the foundation that they've started. What are you proud about?
I don't know. Why is that such a hard question? Why is that such a hard question to answer? I mean, I'm definitely proud to be a part of the foundation. When they approached me and asked me to do it, my family has had personal effects with cancer, so that's made me really, proud to be a part of it and what it stands for and everything that helps with. And then outside of that, I'm just really proud of what I do. I mean, my ex-husband is also a firefighter in a different town. And so our son has come to both of us and it's been like, this is what I want to do. How do I get started? What do I do? And he goes to tech right now during high school, and he's in a health sciences program. When he graduates high school, he'll be able to sit for his EMT.
Nice.
He wants to start volunteering here in a few months when he turns 18. And I mean, he's already on track with what he wants to do with his life. And my daughter the two of them have grown up watching this line of work between my ex-husband, myself, and my husband, since we all three work in it. And now she is dead set on, she wants to go into law enforcement, and she wants to work with canines. And she's, gotten started with her counselors on where do I need to go? What classes do I need to take? What's the next steps I need to go from college? She's learning the differences between, bachelor's degrees and who requires what, to start working. And I think knowing that this has left that kind of an imprint on them,
right,
and has already started them on the path to iron out their lives on what they want to do, that makes you really proud, because it solidifies that your kids watch you. They watch what you do. Even when you think they're not looking, they're not listening, they're watching you. And so now, my youngest one, she's going to grow up in this. I mean, she goes to the station with me every 3 days since, my husband works there. That's where we baby swap. And so she literally is going to grow up in a fire station. So
that's cool.
It's that aspect that I'm really proud of. The imprint that it's leaving on my family it's pretty amazing to watch. So I'm pretty proud of that.
That helps too with, I know, especially as moms, and I'm sure it's like that with dads, but like we worry because, we miss classroom parties. We miss, we all work on the same shift. We worked on Christmas Day this year, and we worked on Thanksgiving Day. So like, I feel like as moms, for sure, we worry about how that's going to negatively impact our kids. Are they going to be, are they going to resent us for not being at this ball game? Are they going to, be upset that we're not there for Christmas morning? Or, so I feel like, especially new getting into this line of work. I mean, I started in my mid-30s, this job. So definitely not young by any means. And, that was a hard thing. My son was little at the time. I mean, he was 4 and he had always been with me. I owned my gym, so he always came to work with me. So being away, and having to explain, well, you've got to go to your dad's because, mommy's going to be at the station. And now it's just, like, he's cool with it. He gets to come to the station. You know, my daughter will bring him up, or my mom, and they check out the trucks, like, you know, do all that stuff. So I think kind of like what Jamie was saying, to see your kids kind of develop into that same service mentality. You're like, oh, good. I didn't screw them up by being gone. I just showed like what good things you can do, even though, you know, I wasn't at every single thing like I wanted to be.
Well, and I think that it's not that men, because I mean, in the restaurant field, I went to work like as soon as we came home from the hospital, I went to the restaurant I was working at the time. And it's kind of on the dad side of things, it's go to work and work long hours, and it's acceptable. It's, you know, whatever. But so you all have the societal pressure of you need to have the laundry done and the dinner's made. And so you're the one making sure that all the outfits are put together and all, you know, the dinner's ready and the kids have their lunch and the, you know, school lunch accounts are paid for. All of that stuff is still.
I was going to speak on that. Jamie, being a mom, we're most proud of being a mom and doing this job. Number one question we get when people travel over or they, you know, just work over on our shift, they're like, oh, what do you do? You know, nice to meet you. Haven't met you yet. What do you do on the side? You know, what's your second job? And we're like, well, we don't have a long business like you. We don't, you know, do whatever on the side. We are moms. We do what your wives do. We do the chores. We do the errands. We pick up all those things. We're the mom.
Except
so
I don't cook. I don't cook and go to the grocery store. I suck at that. I failed domestication poorly. So thank God my husband is a good cook. Or
failed domestication. That's a new one.
I really did. I clean and I do laundry like a motherfucker, but I cannot cook. It's horrible.
Oh, goodness gracious.
That's why she had to marry a fireman and not a cop, because firemen know how to cook.
Right? I lucked out in that category.
Well, I mean, you have a good point, though, that as I'm, you know, I've got an older house in Bartlesville. And so I reached out to Jared, one of my board members, and said, hey, man, who does, you know, stucco? And he gives me this list of here's all the firefighters in the area. And here's this one does electrical. This one does. And you all mom. I mean, and I think that that's another reality is that, you know, first responders don't make a ton of money. You're not going to have a 6-figure salary unless you like work up the ranks in a really big department. And so a lot of our first responders are pulling, you know, police officers are pulling security duty at the local bar, or security duty around, you know, like here in Bartlesville, we've got a couple of organizations that they hire off-duty officers, but it's still for just to make ends meet, you guys are having to get multiple different jobs. And it didn't occur to me that a female first responder, a mother, that's not an option. You've got to.
It is an option. I know Alexa cleans houses and Jamie does IV work, and I coached at a gym, and so like
there you go.
Mom and do the extras.
Yeah,
we try.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I don't do the IV work anymore, but I work for the Tulsa County Election Board. So anytime there's an election, 2 days that week, I'll go. You know, there's a bunch of us firefighters who do that. We'll go drop all the polling station equipment off, and then when the next day after the election's over, we'll drive around and go pick it all back up. So, you know, it's we make it work. You know, we find ways to get by and make it work. And my husband's, you know, for us, he's the one that works over and works the overtime the most. He makes more money than I do. He's a lieutenant, so he drives the engine full time. So it makes sense for him to work over, and I bus kids and do appointments and stuff like that, and then I do the little admin and stuff to help pay for my daughter's, you know, sports and activities and my son's things that he does. And you know, you find the healthy balance. Hopefully it's healthy. You find a balance.
Sure, and then the nonprofit on top of all that too.
Well, and we're in such a tough position on the department right now. I mean, we're so short-staffed. You know, we've got 70, 80 people down. We've got a ton of people out with COVID. So there are a ton of people that work callback shifts, and which the money is great, but you're also at the station for 48 hours. So, you know, that's not just exhausting, but, you know, you're away from your kids for 48 hours. You can't get anything done. And then, you know, if you're up, you know, those 2 nights that you're at the station, that next day that you're off, the 24 hours, you're worthless. And you've still got crap that you got to take care of. So, you know, it's just, I don't know.
No, I mean, it's the mental, I think that we will see a mental health crisis because of the burnout.
Yeah.
because the lack of downtime. You've got to have time to just sit and process. And your day home isn't a processing day. It's let me just get my mind right and recover, rest, and then you can process.
Things, yeah.
And at some point after processing and resting, then it's living. So so that, the next question is, what struggles do you see first responders are facing in the field? And it can be, fire, it can be your area, it can just be your friends. But what do you think is a current, struggle that you're seeing?
I think the back and forth with the COVID vaccine and the shots and masks, and I know, that's constantly. We're in almost 2 years now of all this, or however long, and we're just burnt out on it. And we know everybody else is, and I am not vaccinated, and that's a big issue for a lot of people. But that is my choice, and we've been in it for 2 years, and I've, knock on wood, not once tested positive for it. And we've been around it. Like my daughter just tested positive, but she's fine. She'll recover. And, so that's a big issue with the department right now, and them pushing the vaccine, and, they're not covering leave for people that are not vaccinated. So if I suffer from horrible allergies and get sinus infections. Well, that mimics COVID, symptoms. So it doesn't matter that I've got a sinus infection. They're going to quarantine me, and I have to use my personal leave because I chose not to get vaccinated. So I feel like just the exhaustion of this back and forth and protocols changing, and it's just exhausting. The whole thing.
No, I agree. For the first time in my career, and I do food service, I'm having to watch what the Supreme Court does, because that's about, depending on their OSHA decision, I may be having to look at other options because it'll devastate my workforce.
Yeah.
Because we're in Oklahoma, 30% of our people are vaccinated. And I respect everybody's right to choose whatever you want to do.
And agree.
I mean, I can't run a foundation based on principles that I believe in, and then my actions go against principles that I believe in. And so for the first time in food service, I'm watching what legislators do. That's absurd to me.
Mm-hmm.
You all, it's terrifying to me what you all go through on the back and forth. And then Tulsa's had a lot of challenges, especially with our businesses open and closed.
Mm-hmm.
Being law enforcement right now, I can't imagine having to go against what is, if a business is overpopulated or full too much, and then you have to go into those, hey, you guys, you need to shut it down because you got too many people here. That's a different world that we're walking into, and I agree. We're in year 3 of this garbage. I'm done. So it's a tough one. So the COVID fatigue, we'll call it. What else? I mean, are there any other challenges that you guys see that you're facing?
I'll agree with Kendall. Mine's the no jab for sure. But for me, I see it, and it's everywhere, especially in our job, in our field. Gosh, we're worse than like a salon full of ladies. We talk. It's always, they did this. And I sometimes just have to walk out of the room because I'd rather not want to hear somebody bashing somebody else, or it's nonstop. So it's kind of just taking yourself away from that room or that area and just not getting involved in a certain conversation, especially the pandemic stuff, because I'm the only one not poked at my station. So I hear it too much, and I just, before I open my mouth, I have to walk away.
Yep.
Walk away.
Well, that's what, I mean, my employees are a predominantly female workforce. And so I understand it. I mean, and that's where in the first responder realm, I watched a video the other day of I think it was a New York City police officer. She was pregnant. She was talking about the infertility of her household, and they finally got pregnant. And now at 8 months, she's lose your job or get a vaccination. She's like, that risks what we've fought for years through infertility to go through. It was heartbreaking. And it was like, you could just hear her fear and her, I mean, it was reasonable I love my job, but I've been fighting to have a family. And so that was powerful. So, on the struggles, the COVID one's kind of a tough one, but how can citizens help you all with struggles you face? The smaller towns have been, volunteer. and funding, but volunteering was really the biggest one of helping support them. With them, it was help stop by and fill out our forms, or just help clean the station. I mean, it was just volunteering. COVID will restrict that in for you all, but how can the average civilian that's listening to this, how can they help you guys? How can they, what can we do?
Pull over when you have red lights and
To the right.
That's what I said. That's what I had planned to say.
Do not stop in front of the apparatus. To the right. There's a reason we're sitting behind you, blaring the horn and the federal and dinging the damn bell. Get the fuck out of the way.
Yep.
Scoot over. Do not stop in the middle of the road.
And I think just for people in general, and it doesn't happen often, but be respectful. I mean, like, there are a lot of things like running on fire alarms when you burn food over and over and over and over again. Don't be an asshole to us. We don't want to be there any more than you want us there. Don't burn your food. Like, if we are going somewhere, it's because you or somebody there called us. We are not out cold calling people looking for things to go to. So you can be nice. Be nice.
Yeah, it's funny to me that what I've noticed just in the food service realm and in serving communities, it's not the homeless people that are giving me problems I've had some of my best humans that I've ever in my world
downtown.
Well, okay, fair, but in my world, like when I'm helping somebody that has nothing, they have been just kind as can be, even if they're a little off. But it really is if you're showing up to somebody that is well off and has no worries in the world, sometimes they lack the compassion that they should have. So I get it. Yeah. So what can I in the foundation do to aid you all? I mean, what can Project Tribute, how can we help?
Promote our calendar. Like that's that's one of our biggest things, is just trying to get the word out and get support and, get people to show up at events and buy the calendar. We are lucky because our sponsors have been freaking phenomenal the last 4 years we've done this. We have not really had to go out and search for sponsors. We normally have businesses that reach out to us and ask if they can sponsor, which is freaking incredible. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, is just, every year we try to increase our support, increase the amount of financials that we're able to get so we can donate, which we are doing in a month at our firefighter ball. So we give a giant check out to Hydrants of Hope at our ball every year. So mainly just that, spread the word about, the calendar.
And the calendar can be purchased. Is it TulsaMetroWomenOnFire.com?
We don't ever even use that. We had somebody set that up for us when we first started. On our Facebook page, it's pinned at the very top of our page, and it's Tulsa Metro Women on Fire on Facebook or whatever. But you can click on that, and it brings you to the Shopify link, and you can purchase anything. Or you can send us a message on Facebook too. I know Alexa and I have had people stop by the station and grab calendars from us. So we're pretty, and there's a couple businesses around Tulsa that carry them as well.
Okay, I'm going to put the link just on the screen, and I'll whenever I upload this onto the podcast, I'll do that as well. That way people can just click it from our Facebook page and what have you. So we'll put the link on there and any other info you'd like. So I've got the 2022 calendar, so it is available. You guys have lots in stock, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Well, we'll get it promoted on you all's end. And again, every calendar, the proceeds help go towards Hydrants of Hope. What's your goal of fundraising this year? What's the dollar amount you're trying to raise?
Well, I know in the past we've done, I think for 2 years now, we'll be donating close to $30,000 next month at our firefighter ball. So we would love to be able to do $30,000 in a single year instead of about a year and a half. So $30,000 would be freaking awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would put us at $90,000 in 5 years.
Oh wow, nice.
We'll go big and shoot for 40, so that way we can 5 years.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Well, my goal for Project Tribute, we did 20,000 or 24,000 of gear put back in the field in 2021, our first year.
Nice.
So my goal is 100,000 this year between the retail store and so whatever I can do to help you guys, I am all in.
We need some stickers so we can put them on our cars on ice chests.
Yep, I've got stickers, patches, challenge coins, and then we actually had an office donated to us, so then I can really start clean out all the stuff here and get more gear on hand. Because that's my biggest issue is I can only have so much stock on hand because I'm out of space.
That's
So,
us.
yeah. Okay. So as female first responders, do you have anything that you wish somebody would have told you as you were prepping to get into the field? So really you're talking to not necessarily a young child, you're talking to somebody that's about to enter the field, going to academy, whatever. What would you tell them?
Ooh.
I wish somebody would have told me about, sorry, my toddler's bumping the table. I wish someone would have told me about the trying to figure out how to word this, not necessarily the pushback that you would get from, because people definitely warn us about the pushback you'll get on the job. You know, there are guys that don't want women on the job. That's not been a case for me whatsoever. We've had several women that have come before us that have, you know, paved the way, made the changes, caught the shit, did the hard work, and made it easier for us. More so the pushback from the general public. And like Kendall said before, it really is just lack of education, ill education. That's probably been more attention grabbing than anything else. The doubt from the general public of you being able to do your job and thinking that you get special treatment to be able to do your job. And that's not the case whatsoever. We have to pass the same test. We have to, you know, pull the same workload. Now, granted, can I do the same things Kendall Lex can do? No. Lex is almost 6 feet tall. Kendall can bench press a Buick. I'm 5'2". I have my limits. I get thrown in basements.
He fits an attic really well.
Yeah, I do. I go in her houses quite a bit. I wish I would have been more so about the pushback from the general public. More than anything, I think that would have prepared me a little better from being on an ambulance to being on the fire side. Would have been better equipped to deal with that, because you can't just, I've been told quite often my face needs an indoor voice, and I haven't being prepared to have to deal with that, you know, more professionally. So I can plan ahead and not just on the fly. That would have been good to be able to prepare for.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kendall or Alexa?
I think, like I said, I came into this in my mid-30s. I had almost a full career in law enforcement before, and being an athlete, always on a team, you know, having mostly guy friends. Like, I was shocked at the different view of females on this job. Like, just kind of how you're treated, and it's not everybody. There's some wonderful men on our job, but it is. You know, and that's something we do. We help with the girls' camp. You know, they come for a couple days, and that's something that, you know, we throw out there. Like, you have got to have tough skin on this job, and you know, it is tough because, one, you're a rookie, so you're expected, you know, to follow into that rookie role of, you know, you clean, you keep your head down, you do your job, you keep your mouth shut, and that's perfectly fine. Well, to add on top of that, now you're a female that, you know, people are out, you know, out of the gate. Question whether you're going to be drama in the station. You know, there's wives that aren't 100% comfortable with the fact that we stay overnight with their husbands for, you know, every third night. And, you know, there's uncomfortableness there. So I think just being aware of all of that, because that was never brought to I just never thought about it, because I had been in a guy's line of work for so long and it wasn't an issue. This is completely different. And, you know, most of us don't have other females at the station, or, you know, even on your shift. So, I mean, I'm the only female. We have another female. She's off on injury right now, but she just came to our to my shift on my station. Otherwise, I was the only one in my district. So, like, you know, not being sure if you can reach out to other females, you know, if you've got new females, reach out to them and let them know that, hey, this can be a shit show and you're probably going to need a little bit of support and help to make it through. And not everybody, you know, like Jamie said, and I know we've got another female, they come out at really cool stations where the men are super supportive and they don't have any of this like negative kind of origination feeling like, you know, some other ones have. So, every station's completely different. But yeah, just to open their eyes a little bit, like it's not all rainbows and butterflies.
Would you, if you saw somebody screwing up, would you call them on it faster than you think a male? Like if basically another female first responder, if you saw them screwing up, do you think you would call them on it faster than their male counterparts?
I think that's crew specific.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do it outright in front of everybody.
Sure.
I might pull them to the side after the fact, but I also don't know that person. They may be able to handle it. That person's captain or driver might be able to call that out immediately, especially if it's a safety issue. I think that's person and crew specific as to how to handle how somebody is or isn't doing their job and when to address it with them.
And I think in this job, like a female on the job, I would probably handle criticism coming from one of my male coworkers than probably another female.
Yeah.
And not necessarily like intentional, but like,
yeah, just naturally.
I just, and go ahead.
One question, because we really haven't talked about duties. I mean, if somebody's getting on, I mean, I guess have you taken the chainsaw up on the roof? Have you broken through doors? Have you carried the ladders, carried the hose? I mean, have each of you done all of the tasks within? General citizen, tell us. I mean, is there any duty within fighting a fire or medical that you guys don't handle?
They put you through all those specifically in the academy to see if you can do it, and if you can't, then you don't make the cut, kind of thing. You're expected to do it at the man's level. No matter how heavy it may be or hard, you stick through it and you do it. But that's your level of what you need to know to get on the job. And then when you're on the job, you do it almost every day. You're training, you're checking out the truck. You're always doing all that kind of stuff, depending on the call. So,
well, that's the best thing too.
It's every day.
Having such a diverse group on your crew, like like Jamie was saying. I mean, when I was on the ladder, one of the other firefighters, he's like 6'4" and 300 like muscled dude. So obviously, if there's a small attic or space that somebody has to go into, I'm probably going to do that. He's probably not. But if it's something to where he's got to reach a smoke detector and change it out, he's probably going to do that. So we're all capable of doing everything. But I feel like, and like and this is something my crew always says to me, I'm really good with the general public or like younger females on a call or, even when there's kids in a car wreck on scene, we have a tendency, I'll go get her one of our donation backpacks from Join the Cause and, hang out with her. So I feel like everybody is capable of doing everything, but just like with any other line of work, you have your niches that you're really good at. And that's kind of, where you tend to go. But yeah, we've done it all. We get more creative. We have to get more creative about the heavy, tall stuff, but
yeah.
But there's guys that are the same size. So
right. The officers, when I spoke to them, they were talking about the same thing that, and it's maybe an Oklahoma thing, but really just in general, that if it's an irate man, you put a female officer to them, more often than not, they're able to calm down versus if you put the big muscle officer talking their way, now it's fights on. And so I think that's what I've seen in the volunteer fire or the, professional fire, that it's really, you're the best with the chainsaw. I don't care, male, female, whatever. You're the best at that task. You take that task. You're the best at this. Go in there. I can't fit in this attic. You can have fun. Versus
it's helpful having women too. Like if you run on call of a female that's had domestic abuse in the past, it's intimidating to have 5 firemen, 3 male IMSA people, 2 male TPD officers. Like that is terrifying for some women. So then you have a female that walks in, she won't say anything to the men. And you're like, hey, give us a second, step out, and she'll open up and talk to you about stuff. So it's very beneficial to have a little bit of everybody.
Well, and I think that, so one question, where is Tulsa? Are you all from Tulsa? Are you serving your hometown?
No, I graduated high school from Fort Gibson. So
okay,
a little ways away.
I live about 20-30 minutes north of Tulsa, in the Sky Tewksbury area. So, but my husband graduated from Union, so he did grow up in Tulsa and works there now.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's first responders for the most part are serving their home or where they're from. I mean, Tulsa is you all are Okies. I mean, it's not you're coming from Hawaii to serve in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you're
I
not
would be
from
going to Hawaii
sure,
and
sure,
staying.
fair.
It's too damn cold here right now.
I don't know how you all do it. You all like it's freezing temps out. You're gonna get the hoses out. Man, let it no, I'm good. So
Do it.
the fundraisers. So, I mean, for the department itself, I mean, we've kind of talked about your nonprofit. This is going to be more for the department. What are ways that you guys have fundraised for the fundraiser or for the department?
I mean, we help stuff like MDA. We collect money for MDA, and then different events and stuff happen. But I don't feel like Tulsa really has. It's not like volunteer department, so it's not like we're going out and raising money for Tulsa Fire.
Yeah, you guys have a pretty healthy budget, and it's stable or stable-ish.
Yeah, ish. Very ish.
I mean, there's a lot of departments that you see across the United States that they're actively slashing for budgets. Tulsa, for the most part, within reason, they're staying very supportive, at least of the Tulsa Fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then really the final question I have is when we talked about getting together and doing a podcast, obviously talking about the calendar and your all's efforts there. Is there anything else you all wanted to make sure that the general civilian listening to this wanted to know, or anything that you all wanted to share?
I don't necessarily know about the general public. One thing I definitely want to touch on that, and this kind of goes back to an earlier comment that I don't think is, it's not talked about enough, or I don't think enough normalizing is brought to it, is mental health. Yep. Mental health, especially in first response, whether it be police, fire, EMS, dispatchers. I mean, we all have a hand in this. Your mental state and how healthy or unhealthy it is needs to be made okay. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be addressed. I think strides are definitely being made to bring more light to it, get it out there more, and for people to understand that it is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to have that weak moment, if you want to call it. We all have those struggles. We all deal with them differently. We do need help sometimes, and help is not normalized enough. It's like Alexa touched on earlier, we have a CERT team, a critical response team that will come out. They'll come straight to the call if somebody deems the call is going to be difficult. We have peer-to-peer support. We have a list of individuals within the department that we can contact and speak to if we're having a crisis or we need help. And they're trained to aid in those issues. I think in general, mental health needs to be normalized. It needs to be something that is talked about, discussed, put forth, and that it's okay to say, I need help. I can't deal with this right now. Hey, I'm having a tough time. I can't be here right now. I need to go somewhere else. And I think within the department, we have people that are getting better about coming forth with some of those things, but I still don't think enough light is shed on it. There's still a fear of I'm going to be labeled weak if I talk about this, or they're going to take me off the truck, or they're going to put me on light duty, or, they're going to say I need medication. Those things are okay because sometimes those things need to happen. And I don't think those things are talked about enough.
Sometimes no, I agree.
Just have a fucking bad day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Well, and that's what, when I talked with Justin Miller, he had a really powerful post of being in an overturned car with a lady as she was taking her final breaths, and that impacted it. I mean, I grew up with Justin and his brothers, and several times he's brought that up, and so he talked about it on the podcast, and I put the photo up because not often does people get to see the moment that impacted somebody. But he had a interesting concept, and it's the post-traumatic stress injury versus disorder. And I really liked that because, like John Castle was saying, disorder means that you're never going to get rid of it. It's you're broken, the end. Whereas Justin kind of used the analogy of a broken leg. You learn how to heal, and eventually you get back to normal. And it's you guys see a moment in time that you can't let go. It was shocking to me. I've been part of several police promotion review boards and those kind of things. And when you're asking them about tough calls, they will tell you the date, the time, the exact intersection, what the lighting was,
what somebody was wearing.
The azimuth of the sun that day. I mean, it is, it is ingrained in their lives forever. And some first responders, that it gets too much. And so that, to me, when Jared and Justin both said, I want to do podcasts, mental health is the reason. And a lot of the questions are developed to kind of allow that conversation if somebody had it on their heart and they wanted to talk through it. But I think that where the foundation, to me, 5 years from now, is that we would have a network of, because volunteer fire departments, I spoke with one 2 days ago, and peer-to-peer support was, no, what's that? And so trying to get more of the smaller departments to know about this, and then also to have the bigger departments like Tulsa be able to share their expertise to the small ones, and Project Tribute pay. I mean, even if it's someone was paying a small department the hotel room and the travel fee to get there to Tulsa to see your CERT team or whatever. I mean, that's kind of my goal, is to bridge that gap, to bring the mental health resources and to eliminate the stigma. It is okay to say that was too much for me to cope with. I need a second. I need to pause. In the food service realm, same thing. I mean, I'm mentally exhausted from all the COVID stuff, and I just do food, and I'm not dealing with life or death. My decisions don't make life or death. They mean the difference of my employees getting paid or not, and that weighs on me heavily, but not life or death. So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, mental health is not you're broken. It's I need to pause real quick. I just need tools in my tool belt that I don't have today. So absolutely, I agree. What do you think? So small department trying to figure out mental health resources. If you were to help them start, where would you start?
Encourage them to get with some of the bigger departments. Like I know Tulsa, I mean, we've got such great people that run our stuff. Shoot them an email, reach out to them. Hey, can I come shadow for a day? Can I pick your brain? Do you have a protocol that you use? I guarantee you there's not going to be any department that has all of that is not going to be willing to share it.
Yep. Yeah, I was shocked that on the previous podcast Jared and I did, there's a website called Blue Help, and I'm trying to reach out to them and get them because I don't know anything about it, but it looks like it's a self-reporting website where if you or a family member has taken their life, or somebody that you can report it, and they put it on their statistics, and their self-reported statistics had more corrections officers than we've lost in conflict zones to the military. We've had more corrections officers, which is, I mean, that's a big organization, all that stuff, but still, that's kind of an unspoken about segment of first responders. More of them have taken their lives than we've lost military and combat zones. Like that's shocking. And so it's also my Jeep. I post the names of the in the line of duty deaths. I don't know. I need to figure out a way to honor those that succumb to their mental wounds,
right?
Because they're not weak. They didn't. I mean, it's that it just got too much. And so same thing. It's you're right. I mean, I talk about the in the line of duty deaths of they're heroes, but what about the self-inflicted? It just got too much for them. And so, yeah, good point. Thank you for that share. Kendall, Alexa, any other kind of add-ins to that?
No, I think that's probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you guys could, if you'll kick me the contact info of somebody within TPD, or not TPD, Tulsa Fire, that way I can try to, I'll figure it out. I'll learn. But even if I can get some of my folks to just do a shift or I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to put in the work and learn more about this so I can help connect the dots with, because again, the rural Oklahoma and rural nationwide, they don't have those resources, and a lot of them don't know they exist. And so trying to just shed light on this is maybe we can save some lives that way. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
All righty. So we're kind of on the better part of the hour. We've hit a lot of different topics. Big thing is the Tulsa Metro Women on Fire. You guys have the calendar up and running. You've got, I mean, these are some great shirts too. So this is on sale. Proceeds go to Hydrants of Hope. And I will link that on the podcast. Is there anything else you guys want to share before we kind of wrap it up for the day?
No, thanks so much for having us.
I think so. Yeah. Thanks for having us on here.
And remember to pull to the right.
Yes.
Yep.
Pull to the right.
Fucking right. That's the
pull
biggest
to the right.
Yeah. Alrighty. So again, John Beckloff with Project Tribute Foundation. You can find our website at www.projecttribute.com. We've got some phenomenal guests that we've been speaking to with the Tulsa Metro, but they are all firefighters with the Tulsa area, and they are part of the Tulsa Metro Women on Fire. Check out their Facebook page. I've got it linked on our the video segment of this and on our podcast. This will air next Friday at 8 p.m. and then I'll have it on YouTube pretty quick. So, ladies, I'm going to end the broadcast, but it'll keep us on here. So I'm going to just say thank you and really appreciate you guys taking the time. And I mean, an hour and a half of you all's day is a huge commitment. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This podcast is hosted by the Project Tribute Foundation. We are a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to aiding our first responders. Thank you for listening. For more information on our efforts, check us out at www.projecttribute.com. If you're a first responder that would like to share your story, contact us at projecttributefoundation@gmail.com. You can find us on various social media and podcast sites by searching the Project Tribute Foundation. 100% of donations are used to save lives while our retail store pays for any of our operational costs. Thank you again, and please be sure to like us, follow us, and share our foundation with your friends. Thank you and have a great day.